Ha ha! You know what's awesome? Life can be awesome if you let it. These wonderful things happen. They fall into the cracks. Beautiful pieces, beautiful poetry, emotion, beautiful art. I'm writing the name Randy on my hand. Tonight's guest I've known forever or forever in a minute. And we've always just been really fond of each other, which is beautiful, especially when it comes to art. This gentleman, Randy Michael, beautiful human, beautiful artist, talented, tremendous talent, unbelievable set of ears, like hears things in songs that maybe for a second you won't hear, which is lovely when we write. And I love that stuff. We met, well, we're going to figure it out when we talk in a few minutes, but maybe 20 years ago. And we've always been very fond of each other, talked, great discussions, wonderful discussions about music, art, family, life. The other day we were talking about, like I was talking about family, unbelievable, yeah. And that's the beautiful stuff, the stuff that happens in the middle. And we bumped into each other recently, and now we are working together. I love it so much. We're going to get into it. We're going to let it all unravel because there's so much to discuss. And I'm so excited about the future because I believe in art and beauty and the future. Big shout out to Renee Jaworski. Thank you for everything you do. John Phipps, everyone behind the scenes at Cosmos, Creative Television. Dennis turn on, everyone even behind the scenes, boom, 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 before we even know, whatever. Like, thank you so much, because like we just make each other's dreams come true. We manifest the stuff and we help each other, like do it and succeed and execute. I love it. I love it all, and I'll take it. And I can't wait to share this discussion with you. Welcome to Burn It Down. Welcome to TCB Studios. Welcome to Cosmos Creative Television. Everything we're doing, like we are taking things to the next level. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Randy Michael. Wow,
Hey,
dude, you are so beautiful. It's so good to see you. How you doing?
I'm good, man. You're beautiful back.
You know what's so funny? I say this to a lot of people who are guests, and I go, well, one, I love doing great intros, and I hope to make someone blush or like make them feel wonderful. But it's so easy with you, because we've just been fond of each other for so long. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's very true.
We
I
met
think,
I don't think either of us can like put a date on it, whatever, but maybe 20 years ago, whatever. You were in this awesome band, The Booze, like unbelievable band, like unreal. Like I was blown away by that band, and we chatted and we talked. And then it led to so much more. Like, we talked about other stuff, like other art, and you moved on and doing other stuff. But we always just kept in touch about
yeah,
like our loves, our passions, our beliefs, and just executing like beautiful art. And you're so talented and awesome and beautiful, and I'm such a big fan. Like of us just like bumping into each other. But I was talking about you just the other day when I got into town. I was like, so like Rob Kinchlow or Brian Kinchlow, people like you know, or either you've heard of or whatever, like Brian Kinslow. We'll talk about you recording us, whatever. Rob Kinslow, like I hooked you up with the booze, playing with his band, the Robustos, whatever. But I was like, guys, when I fly in town, I text you and we have dinner and we meet and we talk. You and I were always so fond of each other, but we never really. It wasn't that like we. I know now in the future we will when I'm in town. We will meet and have dinner because this is where we're at right now. But we were just fond of each other. Like it was just that. But I'm such a big fan of accidents and pretty accidents and like wonderful things happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I remember like a few years ago, I was in town. I stopped at a Starbucks and I'm with my dad and I bump into you and like, introduce you, we say hi and like that's that, whatever. We chat, whatever. Years go by, whatever. And we just always like, it's just wonderful. And like, I'm such a big fan of like serendipity and beautiful magic and like everything that comes with like what we believe in, like with music. So I was asked to like perform and do a song for like this 9/11 tribute. And these guys asked me to do a song like for a 9/11 tribute. We're like, I'm in, you got it. And they go, well, we would like you to do David Bowie's version of Simon and Garfunkel's America. And wow, insane. And you and I have recently looked at it. It's unreal. It's like a drum machine and a weird keyboard. And Dave Bowie, well, we know he's an angel and alien and brilliant, whatever. But like they asked me to do that thing. And I'm like, wow. And it was also an insane time in my life. Like I was going through a divorce. Like I was basically a mess. And I remember even like doing the song. And in the song, I think Paul Simon says like, Catherine, I'm waiting. Like, can you pass me a cigarette? I smoked the last one an hour ago. And I kept on saying like, Carmen, and the dude like Bruce goes, yo, what are you doing? I go, well, dude, I'm not going to do that. And my ex-wife's name is this. Well, I'm not going to say that. And like I made it my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm doing my own version of it. I go, well, dude, this is what you're getting. You know what I mean? Like for me to do this 9/11 tribute, this is what I'm doing, whatever. And at the end of the song, there's like 2 minutes left of like drum machine and like keyboards and nothing else. I go, yo, let that go. And I just like start freestyling. And I lose my mind, which is insane because it's close to like the song now, and I'm like, instead of I took a train, I took a trip to New York City, like whatever, So I do this thing and I'm playing it for Mike Sheen, who I've written songs for 3 years. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. But my favorite thing is what you did at the end. Fast forward 10 years. He goes, yo, man, I love that. Hope you don't mind. I finished the ends. And I'm playing a show a few weeks ago, and you're there. And we're such big fans of each other. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at you now. And we're tremendous fans of each other, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, because a lot of times, like, we don't see each other play. And that's okay as well. And I go outside, you're smoking a fag, like, and we're chatting, and you go, yo, Tom, third song, like, I want to do that. And I go, well, technically, like, what's the third song? Because everyone watching this will know I stole this move from Kim Ware, who started this television page coming to my house. I saw her do a show where she started screaming. She goes, this is not a song, this is a sound check. And I'm like, holy shit, that's art. Like, that's brilliant. And you go, Tom, third song. I go, well, what do you mean third song? Like, the first song really wasn't technically a song. Like, do you mean the second song? And you go, you know the song I mean. You say, it's good to be home. And it's unreal and like chills. And you go, I want to do this with you. And now we're in the studio recording. And thank you so much. I love it. I love you. And I believe in all of it. And it's wonderful, And that's the magic of, and I believe in that so much. Like, I'll talk about to everyone, John Phipps, everybody, the magic of music. Like, you know, it's so it's everything. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say that I remember the exact night that I met you. You were doing a gig at the Drunken Unicorn, and
Yes.
we were both friends with Francois,
Yes.
and you came up to me, you started talking to me, and then you went on stage, and I'd never seen you guys before, and you went on stage, and you did this freestyle. You can tell it was off the top, but you were just like saying stuff while the band was like getting ready, like, like starting up, and you were just like rhyming and rhyming and rhyming. I'm like, oh, this is a fucking poet, you know?
Thank you so
That,
well. That
was the first night.
that means the world to me, and for those watching. Randy was on our show, 3 on the Ones and Twos. Shout out to Cassie and James. I loved it when we talked, and you and I have become like wonderful friends, you know.
Yeah.
But like when you were talking about like, oh yeah, like, you know, my mom, my dad, like, and I was raised around this, and God, actually, I know we can go for 3 hours actually talking about this, you know. But like you talked about, like, yeah, well, I was raised around this, but like, holy shit, I love this, and you're like, well, I was 10 years old, and I got dropped off at this bar, and I'd be like doing Green Day covers, you know, and like, and also like all of it. By the way, all of it is rock and roll. Like, I mean, like, I remember, like, you know, you and I talking about like Professor Griff, like, holy shit, Chuck D, Public Enemy, that's rock and roll, you know? Like, you know, I mean, you know, like for me, like I remember like D Boone and Mike Watt from the Minutemen saying, like, punk is what you make it, you know? And like, so whether it is like Chuck D or someone newer, or like Otis Redding or Marvin Gaye, who are probably my favorite singers, yeah, you know, like for me, like, and we've had these late night conversations going into the morning, you know, like a lot of insecurity. Like I was like, well, I didn't think I was that good, so I'll be like, this is my shit, whatever. But now I know I've gotten pretty good, you know, and like I know I'm good, and like I can do like this. But those singers, like my favorite singers, like I loved when they went out and they lost their minds and they went out of key for 1 second. Like, holy shit, like Marvin Gaye when he was out of key. Well, still, no one could touch him. Are you kidding me? Like, no one.
Apart from Benny King, who's my favorite singer.
Yeah, and Sam Cooke, and like, you know, yeah, and then also like what we were talking about Bob Dylan, like, you know, it's this awesome thing, and because like, and also there is no wrong answer to any of it. Like, to be honest,
yeah,
because I have like said sometimes to someone like, oh yeah, that shit is shit, and I should never say that, because listen, if someone brought you to that, like, that's wonderful. And who am I to like that's not right and that's not fair, you know, like, because it's all beautiful.
Yeah, but I got to disagree with you, Tom, because some of it is not good. The thing is that like the stuff that you just named, Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke, you know, Benny King, Dylan, it's all really church. You know, these guys, you gotta look at them like preachers.
Big time.
You know what I mean? And these guys have emotion and they have conviction and they can convince you of what they're singing. And a lot of people can't do that. You know, it's very difficult to, you know, I mean, like even John Lydon can do it. You know, a lot of people can, but a lot of people can't. You know, there's some stuff that
you're right, and you're right, and I agree with that. I guess what I was kind of trying to say is like, well, one, I just love anyone who loves and appreciates and respects like music, you know,
right.
Like, because there's been times I have been wrong and like just cocky, and I'm like, oh yeah, that shit sucks, whatever. I'm like, well, man, listen, I shouldn't be that way. Like, I'm just glad someone's interested in art and music, you know.
Right. But I'll always go and listen to something, even if I don't necessarily like it, so that I can have a fair opinion. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just based on, like, this is my first time hearing this. Does it move me, or is it just something that's the flavor of the week? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes the flavor of the weeks, if there's a hit song that's one hit wonder, and then, you know, 20 years later you'll be like, oh man, that's pretty good. You know,
100%. 100%. And you will also, like, things can get bad. Like we've talked about this. Like Well, this stuff that I heard back in the day, I was like, this is horrible. And now stuff's so horrible. I'm like, yo, that stuff's not that bad. And
Exactly.
like a great example of it is when we did the interview with you and you were talking about John Speaks. Much respect, love John Speaks, legend, drummer, love him, brilliant, beautiful, hardest working dude ever. Like, yeah. And you're like, yo, I'm in the Star Bar, like I'm in the bar one night, and you hear like this song about like Counting Crows.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Jones. And you're like, yo, yeah, the song's great. And then when someone hears it's like Counting Crows, like they diss it, but if someone said it was like Van Morrison, they'd be like, oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah, and that's happened a million times.
Yeah.
Because also those dudes should be stealing from like the best. I mean, I know I have. I've stolen from Elvis Costello, Tom Waits, and the Clash a million times. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've all stolen. But you know, a lot of that stuff, like the stuff in the early mid '90s, that are really good. A lot of it, people don't like it because of the production of the drums.
The drums, like the big drum sound. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that like that piccolo snare that was on everything. You know, if you take that away, you know, those songs are really good. You know, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Gin Blossoms. You know,
I am too. Like, I just got out of a meeting the other day. We're about to do an interview with this girl on 3 on the Ones Twos about like, is it? I think it's like Toad the West Rocket or something. I'm like, I'm cool with that. Are you kidding me? I also want to find the good in all of it. Like, you know, I mean, like, music has saved and changed me and rearranged me a million times. Like, I love it. I understand it. Like, I'm good with it. And I also know, like, it's funny, like how time works. Like I'm a really big respecter of time. Like, in every aspect. Like, not even just music, but like if you allow time to like do its job, it can be really kind to you. Like, for instance, like there's been times I was miserable and sad, and now years later I'm like, no, it's cool. Like that tour that I took was horrible. Well, now I only remember the good things. Or like that ex-wife, like that I took, she was horrible. Well, no, now I only remember the good things, and I choose to let it. But also, I choose to let it. Like, you know, like love is really important to me. Like, with time, like I don't want to dwell on the negative or the bad of it. You know, and everyone is different. You know.
Yeah, everyone is different, but you also have the gift that you can write. You understand?
Yeah.
And you can also get it out, and you can see it for what it is later. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you.
That's a good thing to have, where you can just be like, you know, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and you put it down on paper, and you put chords behind it, or vice versa, and you can really fix it. You know, it's very therapeutic sometimes.
Oh my goodness, you said it. It's therapeutic. It's therapy. It's beautiful therapy. I mean, even us, like the past few weeks, like I said, like we've known each other for years, but holy shit, like the past 2 weeks have been unreal, like amazing. Thank you. You know, like I'll share with our viewers, you know, you texted me last week and you said, hey, I'm playing a show out. Can you come to the show and you want to jump on stage and do a song? Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll do it. Thank you. And then we did it and we talked afterwards, whatever. And like, well, I'll admit to people, I was a nervous wreck about it, but it was magic. We did like 3 minutes of magic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. It was great.
You know, literally, like I got into town. You're amazing and very beautiful. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I can say that. And I'm like, I'm disgusting. I don't look good. You know, whatever. Like, how am I going to be on stage with this dude? Whatever. And I'm like trying to figure out what I'm going to do and where. I'm telling you this later. And you're like, what, Tom? Are you kidding me? Whatever. How funny is that? And then we got on stage and we killed it. Like, people were so happy. It was wonderful. We're talking about it later. We're laughing. And you're like, Tom, are you kidding me? You were thinking that? But yeah, it's very honest. I was like, yes, scared to death of it. But it was awesome and wonderful. Thank you for having me. And then we're texting each other for a couple of days. Like, yeah, it was epic. It was magic.
Yeah, it was great. But you have to look at it like this also, Tom, is that, you know, I'm sure Paul Weller, if you ever played a gig with Pete Townsend, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like, you know, there's a lot of people that look up to you, you know, And you can be, come on stage and be insecure all you want, but it's not going to matter to the guys. It's like, hey man, come and sing this song, because you know what I'm saying. Like I hold you in high regard. You know what I mean? So for you to be like, well, man, I don't have a good shirt. I'm like, what the motherfucker, just get on stage and sing. What are you doing? Improv.
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, and we share a lot of the same heroes, like 'cause it's all rock and roll and soul and beautiful, and so you throw it out there, you portray it, it was awesome. I loved every aspect of it. Thank you. So I'll tell these people, like, so now we're recording a song together, you and I. I love this song so much. Thank you. And it's going to lead to more songs, and I cannot wait to share with people. And like, it really is like, I'm a big fan of like songs and art, like you see in like the words, like the poetry in the sky, and it's unreal. Like, I'm loving every aspect of it. It's unreal.
Yeah, I'm having a great time too, man. You guys are very easy to work with.
Oh man, thank you so much. And so let me tell our viewers, like, you have Incrown Recordings, like, please hit me up, like hit Randy up, like if you want to come to town and record. Unbelievable, so beautiful, like beautiful black and white pictures, like Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, like old wood paneling, like it's just beautiful and soulful. It's such a weird thing, because like I do love all types of music, I really do, and I believe there's good and bad and everything. Like we've talked about, like, well, Professor Griff, like Chuck D, holy shit, like Public Enemy, EPMD, like there's great rap, there's horrible rap, there's great rock and roll, there's horrible rock and roll, there's great punk, there's bad punk, there's great old school country, there's horrible country, like, but the good is like, it just stands on its own, and like we're doing this thing with you, and it really just does it speaks for itself. Like for me, like I'm still figuring it out, to be honest with you. Yeah, and yes, I've looked at guys like Tom Waits or Paul Weller or Joe Strummer, and poets like, Bill Burroughs or Jim Carroll from New York, whatever. But like just trying to make this thing and present this art, But like I just want it to like stand on its own and be this beautiful piece of art, And you've done so much, like whether it's from the booths to doing other stuff to with your gal Nikki and her band Nikki and the Phantom Falls. Holy cow, we're amazing, unreal. Like, and it's always no matter what. So it's always no matter what soulful. It really is. Like we find that, and I love that, because like for me, like I love learning every day. I love trying to get better at these things. But like for me, like to me, like simple songs, smart lyrics, great hooks, telling me beautiful, like heartfelt things. That's everything.
Yep.
That's everything. Whether it's Van Morrison or, or holy shit, like, Sam Cooke. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Phil Lynott. He's the king of that.
Phil Lynott is so amazing. And you know what's so funny? And I'm okay with admitting it, because well, we're all far from perfect, Like music plays this weird thing with you, or at least with me, like about timing, And like so, like I kind of did it all backwards. I grew up in New York City. I was a new wave kid and an '80s hip hop kid, and still love all that stuff. Whatever. Then I was like this punk kid, a punk dude. And then certainly loved some like metal stuff, whether it was like Judas Priest, like Iron Maiden, this and that, whatever. And I had friends like my friend Brent, who I write songs with, whatever. And I'm turning him on like Tom Waits, and he's turning me on like Frank Zappa, like, and that's beautiful, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
But like I'm like people like playing like Phil Lynott, like Thin Lizzy, and like T-Rex, and who knows? Like it's weird, it's magic. Like in the beginning, it didn't do anything for me. And that's so crazy. And now they're my favorite band. Like Thin Lizzy's, like Wild One and Cosmic Dancer by T-Rex come to me in my dreams 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I can't explain it, and that's okay. We could be drinking beers and doing shots and something. Going, how is it that you didn't get like Thin Lizzy? I'm like, well, I can't explain it, but I know this. I get them now.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Like they're amazing.
Yeah. We've all had our journeys, you know.
Yeah.
I could say that I started off with the '50s stuff, you know, the Richie
Yeah.
Valens and Drifters, all the doo-wop stuff I really liked. And then from that got into a lot of the British Invasion and the '60s pop Wrecking Crew stuff. And then I skipped the Zeppelin thing and the Sabbath thing and went straight to the Bowie and glam part of it, you know.
I do want to get to Chloe for a second, if it's okay. But like, so it's so funny. So you met Mike Sheena, who's working with me, and Mike and I met. I moved here from New York City in the early '90s, and he moved here from Boston, and he was a professional rugby player. And like,
I can see that.
oh yeah, I would not fight the dude. Like he's amazing. And we met and we played some music, but he was an athlete, whatever. And then he went like professional, like played like South Africa, like played like for South Africa's rugby team. And we bumped each other a few years later. He's like, yeah, I'm fucking on mescaline. I'm doing acid and mushrooms. And I see this little kid in South Africa in the river, like 8 years old, wearing like a Pogue shirt, whatever. He's like, that's amazing music. Like it is.
Yeah,
That kid didn't know who the Pogues were, or his parents didn't. Someone found that shirt out of Value Village in South Africa, whatever. The beauty of that stuff. And the song we're working on in many ways is me writing like a Pogue song, whatever. Like it's just a weird song. It was me. I was losing my mind, sad. And I was trying to recharge the batteries, reinvent myself, reestablish myself. And I'm screaming, it's good to be home. Like you and I right now are writing the best song of the last 20 years, and we're going to put it out by this fall. So thank you for helping me with that. But it's just such a wild thing. So he and I, like, we start hanging and we start like writing these songs. And yes, we have our influences, whether it's like, the Clash or like, this other stuff, but it's just like these things make you move. And it's absolutely wonderful. And I meet you and we chat and we have over coffee, like wonderful conversations. And I'm so grateful, for all of it. Yeah. And I just want people to want to record with you because you're awesome. And like, again, like, I'm a huge fan of like Ducks in a Row and Pretty Accidents. We bump into each other all over the place, all over the country, playing with people, saying hi, and we're just fans of each other. And then we see each other like, a few weeks ago, and I'm doing this thing, and you go, I want to do that third song. I go, well, is it the second song or the third song? I go, because the first song is kind of me just doing reggae screaming, and I'm ripping off Kim Ware, and I'm screaming, this is not a song, this is a sound check. And it's the Clash. It's like fucking Willie Williams, like whatever. And you go, Tom, you know what song I mean, whatever. I go, yeah, I was losing my mind. I wrote this, whatever. You're like, let's do this, I love like the magic of like music really is. I'm sure like Tom Petty was asked, like someone asked him, like, do you believe in magic? He goes, I don't believe in magic, but I believe in music. That's the closest thing to magic.
I mean, it is very true. I mean, think about this. You can have, you got a couple of guys in a room and you say, matter of fact, you go on a stage and you play in front of people and say, okay, this is something that I wrote last night or, a week ago, and I want to play it for you guys, and people are listening to it. That's insane. You know what I mean?
And it's scary. It's scary as shit. It's scary because as artists, we're scared. Like when I did that shit in the studio, like, and then you and I did that night, and then later on next night we're talking. You're like, Tom, my favorite shit was the end when you were like improvising. Like, holy shit.
And that's what I've always admired about you.
What? I thought that was the worst shit, and you were like, no, Tom, that was everything.
No, you're the king of the improvisation. in my eyes, because I've seen you do it a bunch of times. You know what I mean?
Man.
So
Oh,
you just
man.
get up and do that stuff, and that comes from the '80s hip hop stuff. You know, like
Without a
when you were
doubt. Yeah,
playing
yeah,
third
without
base.
a doubt. APMD, Nas,
Yeah.
Rakim, all of it. Yeah. Well, it's all magic, and it also let it be what it is. To be honest
Mm-hmm.
with you, like Mike Sheen and I used to talk about it, like the Beastie Boys, they were our Sex Pistols. Like literally, like I used to see them as kids, you know. And yes, like I've seen a lot of the shit that was like bad, whatever, but also they owned it, they admit it. Like I saw this great interview with like fucking Adam Harvitz, and like some dude was like, yeah, well, you know, you have the song Dissing Women, whatever. And he goes, yeah, I'd much rather be like a hypocrite than someone who stayed the same. I changed. But
Mm-hmm.
like the best thing you can do is change and be a better man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all beautiful and wonderful. And I know for me, like the way I live my life, like, you know, I try to every day be a better human and a better artist than I was the day before. Bumping into you, holy cow, like I'm so excited about the stuff we're doing, because I think we're gonna probably do a really beautiful record. You know, and
Yeah.
like it's just so wonderful. Like I told you, I was like, yeah, I wrote the song like this on the piano, but also like I'm giving you free reign. Like do what you want with it. Like unreal, like amazing.
Yeah, I just played what I thought the pub would sound like, you know?
Well, like the next night or like a few days later when we were with you in the studio, you were like, you go, Tom, you realize like note for note, I'm just playing what you're singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, holy cow, like that's insane. Like, man, like, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just like not even scared. I'm just like making noises, you know. But it's wonderful because music it's beautiful and it's magic. And I'm having so much fun with it. Thank you for having me on stage the other night. I want everyone to like hit me up or hit Randy up and go to his studio, Incrown Recordings. So I'm about to embarrass Randy, even though we're already going over, but I love this. We're outside the studio, everyone's smoking, and we're talking the other day, and I'm talking to him about like David Bowie's album. Was it the next?
The next day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I had heard. Well, I'm just gonna say cheers to you, brother, and thank you to Renee, John Phipps, everyone for letting me go over.
Thank you guys.
Mm. Thank you for being on the show with us. Yeah. But like, so I knew that I was in New York, and I knew that you had done some stuff with Dave Bowie before he passed away. Beautiful. Yeah. So we're hanging out the other night. Everyone's outside the studio. We're smoking. And I go, how did that happen? And you say to me, you go, you want the true story? And I go, man, all I want, Randy, is the true story. And you start telling me, you're like, well, yeah, I was hanging out and I was with this band and this lady, which by the way, I could attest, like you go to Randy's house at 10 in the morning or midnight, 11 at night, he's wearing a suit, like at his house. Like, dude. Let me say one more thing. Like I made a joke and I was going to send him money to Mike Sheena instead penalty. And I go, next time you go to the studio to see Randy, we're going to go buy suits. When he answers the door, we're going to be in like skin tight suits, like just hang out with you. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. But you're like, yeah, I'm playing this band and I'm like outside, like smoking fag. And like this lady goes, hey, do you want to be in this video? So you say to me, you go, you want the true story? I go, yeah, I do want the true story. And I absolutely love that, you know, because you had no idea who you were going to be in the video with.
No, I thought it was going to be Justin Timberlake or Rod Stewart because I knew they had albums coming out. So, you know, they had singles. And then when I got there and David walked in, like
David Bowie, everybody, with Gary Oldman. Holy shit.
Fucking David Bowie. You know, he's talking to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like this guy helped me through my high school years.
Unreal, like alien, like beautiful, amazing alien.
Right.
Unreal.
You know.
When you told me you like, and you went up doing like 3 videos with him, like playing drums and stuff. But like you told me he turned around and it's like this. Which like we all try to do as artists. Like I try to turn it on, whatever, but you were like, yeah, he's going like this, he turned it on and the magic happened. And he just jumped in.
He took a deep, like at first he was like, yeah, you know. Then he took a deep breath. He went, and he started shaking his hands. and then he turned into the guy that you hear on Heroes and Scary Monsters, like just
Unreal.
like, you know,
Oh my
it was
God.
it was the most magical
And
thing I've ever seen in real life.
And then you're playing drums in a video, and they go, "Hey, can you be back in 2 weeks to shoot another video?" And you did three videos for them. Yeah,
I did 2 of them.
amazing, unreal.
Yeah.
And that album is beautiful. And it's so crazy. I was living in California, and I had met Dave Ketching a few times, who plays guitar in the band Eagles Death Metal, and we became like pretty good friends, you know. And interesting guy, sweet guy, you know. And you know, I heard some interviews with him, and like he was in New Orleans and grew up with Alex Chilton, like who wrote like the letter,
Yeah.
you know, but you
Big
know,
Star.
Boxcar, I wrote your letter, you know,
Yeah.
Replacements wrote the song, Alex Chilton, whatever, and he's like, yeah, I wrote a few songs to him, you know. I was like 15 years old. He was homeless, like washing dishes in this restaurant in New Orleans, and we were in the band together. I'm like, holy shit, whatever, and I'm like blown away. And I'd hung out with Dave Ketching, and we talked a bunch about like beautiful shit that inspires us for living. And he goes, I don't care who you are, like whatever, but once in a while something happens, and you hear someone like Dylan doing like the Hurricane. Holy shit, you and I have talked about Dylan. He goes 3 words, he'll destroy all of us.
Mm-hmm.
As a poet, as a writer, whatever. He goes, and you realize like guys like Dylan and Bowie, they're on loan to us on Earth as alien, and like we will never touch anything that they've done.
Yeah, but we'll always try. You know what I mean?
It's good to have those goals, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I try to do. Like I try to like one, you know, do something that I think is really important. Whatever. I hope it moves people, whatever, you know. But also, I'm not gonna like. I know it's not gonna get everyone, but like hopefully it moves like the right people. Like you, big fan of yours, and you asked me to do this stuff, and then we're doing the song, and the other night you go, "Hey Tom, I got a couple of songs. I'd love for you to help me write them." That means the world to me. Like when my peers tell me they like what I do, that means everything. You know, that means everything.
Yeah, and you know, it's all, and I'm sure those guys, you know, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure those guys wrote a song like, "Oh man, this ain't." I mean, I don't like this at all. But they just did, like, you know, you can hear Dylan and the guys like Petty, all the guys that chuckle when they got a good line. Like Petty will always chuckle. He's got a good line. He wants you to hear that good line. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm sure those guys, you know, they to us, are, you know, bigger than life. But
it really is. Like,
yeah,
like when we chatted, you were like, yeah, well, for me, like you were like, well, Dylan's like, you know, Raekwon the Chef from Wu-Tang, and he's just like Jesus in this house.
Yeah.
And he really is like so like I was producing a record for this guy, you know, a friend of mine, and unbelievable. He constantly surprised me. Yeah. And he was like, Dylan. And I've always respected Dylan, but I wasn't there. And then one day something happened, and I'm like, holy shit. Like that's our like the song, that's all right. Like when I sent to you, like that's all right. That's all right. Like, you know, holy cow. Like it's like kind of like what I didn't realize what I'm writing. I'm like, I love you. You don't love me? Well, piss off. Like, fuck you. Like, whatever.
Exactly.
And it's unreal. And like, I'm at like, you know, dude's house. And he's like, yeah, this is everything. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, actually, you want to know something? It is. And it gets better.
Yep. You know, and you always got to remember that when you write anything, you're the hero of your shit. You know, if you can remember that, then you can't go wrong, because it doesn't matter if anybody likes it, as long as you come out as the hero, you know, whether you're right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like Bukowski would say.
Yeah. Or like, as insane as all that is, like find what you love and do it till it kills you. Like, so that show we did a few weeks ago that you were at, like at the end of the show, I told Mike Sheena, I was like, I'm going to say, and this is rock and roll, and I'm going to do this till I die. And he was like, Tom, do not. Like, that's not good. And I go, trust me, I know where to put it. It's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt good. And I was like, yo, and this is rock and roll. And I'm going to do this till I die. You know, like, and it's like, I also love the dichotomy and like the juxtapose of like the music's like, what was it, like C to A minor, like something so simple. I'm like, no, I know it, nothing here is rock and roll. That's what makes it rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and this is rock and roll. That's my life. And I'll do this till I die. Boom, done. And I was like, well, and also it's all about owning it because like we see people do stuff, and if they don't take it seriously, they don't. Well, then, like if you don't take what you do seriously, why should I take you seriously?
Right. Yeah. And you can see it as well, you know, and you kind of have this thing about you where, you know, when you'll get on stage and all of a sudden, you know, even though I know you, when you get on stage, it's a whole different guy, but it's still you, but it's just enhanced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like an actor, but it's still you.
It's performance. You know, you're
Exactly.
way better. You're way better looking than me. You're about 10 years younger than me. We've been doing it forever. Now
I'm sure
you're good with all the stuff.
Good looking in 91.
But like the thing is it's like it's about owning it.
Yeah.
You know, because like my younger brother, who you've heard me talk about, Scotty, much love. He played drums on all of my bands growing up. We've written music together, and then he stopped, and then now he's a very successful writer, you know, and amazing writer. And we talk about this stuff, and we have great meetings over coffee and beers in New York, you know, and it's like, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like you write 500 pages, that shit doesn't work out. Like you lose your mind. I'm like, I read a 3-minute song. Someone doesn't like it, I'll deal with it and I'll write another one, you know, like it's just unreal thing, you know, but we talk about, we dive into it, you know, and it's like, it's just unreal thing. You take it very seriously. And I do take it very seriously. You do, you know, and like, and I've also learned from so many of my friends, including you, like, well, one, if I'm not going to take it seriously, why should anybody take me? Like, so for years, early years, like 20 years ago, I would like have 4 drinks in my hands. Insane. 6 drinks in my hand. 3 gin and tonics, like 2 beers. And I'm like, well, if someone doesn't like me, well, they don't get it. I'm a drunk. And I'm like, it's a drunk performance. Whatever. And then I stopped drinking and I really took my poetry and my songwriting seriously. And I was like, no, you want to know something? Like, if I want to drink after a song, I'll go behind the drum set, I'll grab a drink, I'll take a sip, whatever. That's not it. Like, but I was hiding behind that insecurity. Like, well, if you don't get it, like, we just don't get it. Well, fuck that. Like, to be honest with you, well, no, and if you don't get it, that's fine. But like, no, I'm going to put all this into it. And that's fine if you don't get it. But yeah. I do, we put everything into it. Like, you're so good at what you do. You're so great at what you do. And whether it's 5 people or 200 people. Like when I saw the booze, like first time I met you, like your band, I thought you were going to be like, with the Strokes, like biggest thing. Oh my gosh, we're going so and over, but it's wonderful. I hope Renee's okay with this. Yeah, but like it was so wonderful. It was so great, and you gotta do this. Like own it, you know. And like that's the shit. Like that's the shit that matters, you know. Like be wonderful, you know. Yeah. And I was so much secure for so long. Now I know I'm good. I'm good at what I do. Yeah. And if someone doesn't get it, that's fine. That's not their thing. But I know I'm good at what I do. And if you don't get it, well, that's just not your thing. But no longer am I hiding behind like me doing performance on drink of beers, like whatever, you know. It's like no, just do it. Like kill it. Execute, succeed.
Yeah. And that's important, you know, because, you know, I mean, no matter what, you know, there's always going to be a little insecurity until I'm 80 years old. But
we're artists. That's what we do.
Exactly.
We are.
Yeah.
But I also know until the end, at best or worst, whatever, like once a month, whatever, you're going to see me singing songs like at a, whether it's a coffee shop or somewhere doing this, like even the song that we're doing now, which I can't wait to share with everyone. You know, you were like, yo, Tom, this is it. Yeah. You know, like, I was like, I want to be a dream, like a Martin Scorsese film. Like people come here and like reinventing themselves.
Yeah. And it's a smash. You got to smash on your hands.
Dude, it means so much to me. We really could talk for like 2 hours. Love you so much, man. Thank
Love
you
you
so
too.
much. Everyone check out Randy. Hit me up. Incrown Recordings. So wonderful. Check out him playing drums in Dave Bowie videos. Like,
Yeah.
so much love. Thank you, Renee, for letting me go over. I hope it's okay, but I do believe in beauty and magic. And man, love you, brother, so much. And I'll see you in a
Love
couple
you
of days.
too, man. Most definitely.
Cheers.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you, guys.